year is 2508. Isaac Clarke and the crew of the USG Kellyan are sent to investigate and repair the USG Ishimura after the Ishimura transmitted a distress signal. The Ishimura was an aging vessel, 62 years in service, and was one of the 6 planet-cracking ships belonging to the CEC, the flagship of their fleet, and the first vessel of its size to travel at faster than light speed. The ship bore the name of the astrophysicist who had made this space travel possible, Hideki Ishimura. The Ishimura sits idle over the planet Aegis 7, waiting to tear it asunder, whereupon its minerals and resources will be harvested. Isaac Clarke, an engineer, is about to board the Kellyan, not only to do the job tasked to him, but to find his partner, Nicole, who is a medical professional aboard the Ishimura. She was in danger. She had sent a distress signal to Isaac, which would give Isaac all the motivation he would require to board the Kellyan. He can't know this yet, but Aegis 7 has horrors buried in its depths, things that should have been left undisturbed and lost to time. The events that unfold upon the planet and the Ishimura will change the course of humanity and its position in the stars. Some things are better left unknown. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be drawing a wall guardian from Deadspace. I've often spoken in my videos about Deadspace and my want to recreate a necromorph. Necromorphs are full of twisted anatomy, mutations, and growths. And in order to do this thing justice, the drawing will have to have bizarre proportions, its body and tire stretched and contorted. Each of the necromorphs in the Deadspace universe serve a purpose, their body a tool for the message it obeys. The wall guardian fits into a specific role, evident in the name itself. Stick around as we draw one of these things and talk some Deadspace. We will take a look into the wall guardian and some of the basic Deadspace lore and story pertinence. This channel exists in part to encourage creativity, so if you feel up for it, I hope you'll pick up a pencil and sketch something that inspires you. If you would like to see a character drawn from games, films, books, what have you, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and let's get into it. Deadspace is a horror icon in the gaming industry, even if somehow still a touch under the radar. It should never be labeled a cult classic, since the series has proven to be successful in the difficult-to-succeed survival horror genre. But, according to EA, it has failed to meet sales expectations, and thus all forward momentum with the series seems to have been put on hold, at least for now. Of course, the Deadspace remake was made at a time when it was, and still continues to be, popular to remake iconic survival horror games. The Resident Evil 2 remake, released to staggering acclaim in 2019, selling nearly 6 million units in short order. Today, that number stands at over 14 million. Enter EA. In 2023, the Deadspace series would get a jolt of life with a remake of the original game. It was great. It played great, looked great, and sold well. Not Resident Evil well, but it appeared successful from the outside looking in. But Deadspace failed to reach EA's goals, perhaps in large part due to the lofty expectations Resident Evil created. No horror game series has had as much success as the Resident Evil franchise, not even Deadspace, and there is nothing wrong with that. Earth is failing. And so we take to the stars, and eventually to a planet called Aegis 7, a planet with a secret buried beneath its skin. In 2508, a mining corporation by the name of CEC would move to extract key minerals and resources from Aegis 7 in an event known as planet cracking. The operation was illegal, but with enough money and ignorance, they carried on anyhow. Miners, readying the planet for the reaping that would transpire, would unearth a bizarre monument, something alien in either inspiration or origin. It stood twisted and jagged, two angular structures rising and twisting around each other like some sadistic twist of DNA. A red marker, a man-made imitation of a black marker, which is alien in origin. The red marker had been placed on Aegis 7 some 200 years prior to the events of Deadspace, and, even then, a horror would be unleashed upon the planet: madness, death, and mutation. The dead reanimated, a necromorph plague. The planet would fall to the outbreak, and, as a result, the planet would be abandoned and flagged. But not all warnings go heeded. The Church of Unitology would take a special interest in the mysterious markers and their powers, and would become a relic of their religious texts. The Concordance Extraction Corporation, CEC, owned in large part by the Church of Unitology, would take an interest in Aegis 7 for the minerals. Though it was illegal to mine there, the planet flagged for mysterious reasons, they built a colony and set to the business of extracting resources from the planet. The marker would be found once more during a geological survey. an event that would come to jeopardize human life as we know it. It was pulled from the place it had been buried for centuries. Unitologists who worked for the CEC informed their higher-ups at the church about the discovery. The church believed that the marker would bring about a rapturous event called convergence, where all believers would be joined together in mind, body, flesh, and soul. The marker would do such a thing. It just had to be unleashed. And it was. It was excised from its earthly tomb, and then it began. First came whispers in the core of the mind. Paranoia birthed madness, driving those tormented to ruination, often self-inflicted. There were murders, too. The colony was falling, and the marker, under Unitologist direction, would be transported up to the Ishimura. The cycle would begin afresh. Madness on the planet, and now madness on the planet-cracking vessel, the Ishimura. Removing the marker from the planet, where the alien signal it cast had been largely suppressed, would give way to the corruption, a fleshy, hive-like material that began growing on the ship and the colony, in the ventilation shafts, on the walls. Soon after, there came the infectors. How this progression from corruption to infectors happened is hard to know, but it seems the marker broadcasts a signal, one that influences mutations in the body and in the DNA. By now, people were dying, driven by madness to harm and self-termination. The infection spiraled quickly. Infectors utilized the corpses of the dead, most often striking a blow into the skull of the corpse, where it would inject the dead with the necromorph biomass. Shortly after, the dead human on the ground was rising and mutating, arms turning into long, sharp blades made of bone. Slashers. Things that could kill, so infectors could convert. Kill and convert. This was the process. All semblance of human consciousness had gone. Instead, something animalistic was all that remained, something under the control of the marker and its alien language, a language that told of death and ruin. What was the marker's role in this? Was it the intelligent life force? Did it create a signal that mutated flesh? Or is there more to it? The marker, it seems, acts as a conduit to receive instruction from some higher form of intelligence. This intelligence has a mind for creation, and necromorphs have their DNA influenced by its designs. The subject of our drawing today is no different. A wall guardian is a disturbing blend of humanity and necromorph, the corruption growing on the walls fused into its being, something that almost appears to exist in a half-state, not quite full necromorph, but no longer human. A disturbing creation of the marker that guards areas of importance or interest for humans and necromorphs alike. A disturbing creation of the marker that guards areas of importance or interest for humans and necromorphs alike. The body of the wall guardian has been twisted and elongated to occupy space on walls or near doors. Its abdominal region is swollen, almost pregnant with infection, and where the belly button should be, there is instead a cavity. The corruption utilizes this cavity to birth pods, small fetus-like necromorphs that help defend the wall guardian. Another cavity sits just below its sternum, from which its entrails will erupt, lashing out in a tentacle-like fashion. The arms, or remains of them, are affixed to the torso and are no longer of service to the wall guardian, just vestiges of the human vessel the corruption has occupied. All of this adds up to a grisly sight, an achievement of body horror and visual design alike. But there is another layer of fear here that should not slip by without thought. It is important to ask ourselves why these things came to be. How did they become fused to the wall? It's possible they are merely a reanimated corpse that listened to the call of its purpose and wandered over to the wall, where it stood in wait as the corruption fused with it. But I think a more likely and terrifying option is that this process happened while the victim was still alive, a voice echoing in their head that told them to go to the wall and stand and wait idle as their living tissue was wrapped up by the corruption, devoured by it. There's some evidence to support this. When Isaac, or anybody presumably, stands near them, we can hear the guardian wailing, as if there might still be some scrap of humanity left somewhere deep inside the creature. Or, more terrifying yet, perhaps this is a predatory technique to draw humans near who would otherwise try and slip by them to access the room they are guarding. Indeed, the wall guardian is quite a deadly necromorph, instantaneously snuffing out the life of any living thing that chances to move too closely. A guardian in any room proves to be a problem for Isaac, the choice either being to shoot its many tendrils that whip out from its chest, or to simply use the flamethrower, a tactic that proves most effective in dispatching them. There are lots of tools and alternate fire modes in the 2023 Deadspace remake to try out, but, regardless of the difficulty or resources, wall guardians are tough creatures that pose a serious threat. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you got a drawing done that you feel satisfied with as well. If not, I hope you enjoyed watching and listening. If you're still here, I'm sure you are a Deadspace enjoyer. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll do more Deadspace drawings in the future. Thanks for watching. Peace.